Hey guys, welcome back to the Philco 48-1000 restoration project. When we last left off, I found some bad parts and a wiring mistake I made, and we got a raster. Since then, I went through and checked the rest of the tubes and only found a couple that were weak. The weakest one, the worst one, was actually a 6AL5 video detector tube, and I was hoping that that would be the silver bullet that would get to start working again. Not so much. And the 6J6 local oscillator is also weak. I've replaced those two, and I do kind of sort of have some reception now. The rest of the tubes are easy to test because they're all the miniatures are 6AG5, so all the same. And I tested the last few loctals I hadn't gotten to. So where are we at now? Well, I'm feeding in a signal rather crudely, which could be an issue. I need to figure this out because there's a 4-pin connector on that, and there's 2 sets of twin lead going to the tuner. So I was speculating earlier that that's a low and high VHF band. Regardless, there were 2 stumps of wire sticking out, so I put alligator clips on them and rigged it up to this, and I'm going to my VG91. Now, the other issue is what channels are this thing set up for? It only has an 8-position tuner. Looking at this, it seems like they're written on here. So that ends with -4, -5. There's -3 there. The one that's down in there, I think, is -2. So it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13. Yeah, 2. However, when I inject on those frequencies, I'm not picking up anything on those stations. So, for example, I'm feeding in channel 4 right now, and where I kind of see something is actually on 3. So here's 4, nothing. If I go to 3, yeah, we're going to see something. It's very faint, and we can hear the horizontal oscillator fighting. That's another issue, is we don't have any fine-tuning. So potentially there's issues with the tuner and it needs to be aligned. This vertical hold, that seems to kind of work, but the horizontal hold, I'm not sure where to position it. It's really crude. Its potentiometer just varies the frequency of the local oscillator like crazy, but it never locks. Now, if I'm looking at it on a scope, around the middle of the range seemed to be 15.75 kilohertz, and it should be locking. Notice the width changes quite a bit too. So I'm thinking somewhere's around here it's right. I'll have to look at it on a scope to know for sure. But it looks terrible, right? I have to get the brightness and the contrast and the AGC just right, which is another issue too, is that I'm not quite sure how to set all this stuff up. So brightness and contrast are straightforward enough, but then there's this pot sticking up, which is the AGC. Also notice this is very dim. If I turn the lights out, or on, we can't see jack. So I'll turn back off. But that's a crosshatch pattern. Clearly there is something there. Okay, so what do I want to do now? Well, check the tubes. Let's go back through and start going through all this stuff. I'd noted a bunch of bad resistors as I was going through and recapping. I absolutely did not check every resistor, so we can start there. I'll also do some video injection. I want to eliminate the tuner as a potential source of problems because to get the parts in the tuner are a little bit tricky. So it has these plug-in coils here. They line up to connectors on this side of this plate, and the components are down in here. So to get in there and check and replace resistors is a little tricky. But we can certainly do the IF, this first IF, so I can inject a video signal here to eliminate that. Or can I? Yeah, see, that's not so easy either because this uses the old 21 megahertz video IF, which that does not support. I can lug out my ancient B&K 1077B if I have to. So I'll tell you what, let's jump ahead and let's go to the video output stage and inject video there, which should give us a crystal clear picture in great sync. and then we can work our way back. I want to do an alignment on this at some point too. All of these cans, these threaded shafts sticking up, these are the adjustable coils. This is sound, so all the Lochtel stuff here, this is sound. First, second, discriminator, audio output. So I'm not worried about this stuff just yet, and this is video. So local RF amp, local oscillator mixer, these 3 tubes, first, second, third. Does it only have 3 IF stages? I think it has 4. Gander at the schematic. Oh, it only has 3 IF stages. Alright. Fine. And that's weak 6 AL5. I replaced the video detector and AVC rectifier. And AVC 7B5. I think that is. Lochtel tube. The GC amp. What I'm looking for is a diode that's in this set. Oh, fine, it should be in the schematic somewhere. That's a curious thing. Notice there's an empty tube socket here. On some revisions, the one they show on the SAMs, they use a tube. And on this set, they use a diode. And that is this guy, 6 DC restoration. Using a 6 AT6 seems like a really odd thing, is they just connect all the plates together. They're just using it as a diode. And then on the 6 AL5. I don't know. Maybe some characteristics of it wasn't quite right. But this set uses a diode, so am I just not seeing it somewhere? Oh, there it is. There it is. That could very well be bad. It's a super early germanium diode. But if it's bad, would it cause these problems we're seeing? Probably not. So I think since we have terrible sync and terrible video, we'll probably have weak video coming through here somewhere. My first suspect are these resistors. I replaced some of them, these 68s and the 180. Those tend to drift way off over time. And we'll go through and check the rest of it. Oh, the convenient tuner test jack right there. If I had a signal of the right modulation frequency, I could inject it right there, it looks like. So we have a video test jack. There are several test jacks around this. Oh yeah, there's the alignment test jack. I was wondering what these things were on top of the chassis until I noticed that in service info. So there's one down there for sound, and that'd be the video test jack. And I think that's a sound output. To aid in troubleshooting and probably aligning this at the factory, they included those. Maybe that's the tuner. I think the tuner test jack injection point would be somewhere near the tuner. Anyways, now the troubleshooting can commence. Signal injection is the fastest way to get there, so let's do a video injection first. Which means I need to tip this thing back up on its side and reconfigure things a bit. I can also double check how I'm injecting this, because when it's on its side I can clip my signal right into the tuner and forget about that goofy connector. Don't try this at home, kids. But I saw another restorer do this, and it is the most convenient thing to do in a pinch, is to have a CRT facing forward, chassis on side, transformer side down. High voltage lead's too short, so click a little alligator lead onto it. To the CRT that is not high voltage rated wire. I would get shocked if I got near it. Anywho, I am now injecting video right into the grid of the video amp through a coupling cap to my TVA92. I'm feeding in about 23 volts peak to peak. And I have my scope on the horizontal oscillator. Now, I'm at 15.75. Now that is with the horizontal hold completely counterclockwise. So all this craziness, horrible ringing and singing we heard is when it was anywhere but fully counterclockwise. And I think even that is just right at the edge of locking. Ideally this would be in the center of rotation, so maybe that pots off, maybe There's a resistor, I think, in series with it. I'm hoping that's all it is, that something has drifted a bit off, and I can get that more into range. Again, there's no coil to adjust for the a lock range or a frequency adjust. That's all I got. And this is what we have on the screen. Not what I was expecting to see. I thought it'd be a lot sharper and clearer than that, but at least it's heading in the right direction. We're basically filling the screen now. And this crosshatch, we can kind of see it's probably ringing really bad, but it's kind of there. Let's try the Windows circle pattern. Yeah, sure, we got a circle. Awesome. I think the high voltage is low. Why that might be, I'm not sure. Again, there's no drive control, so I have very limited options on what to do about this, but I will keep tinkering. Turn this off. So those IF tubes, I mentioned about those resistors. Yeah, I thought I remember placing them, so I replaced that 68, I replaced that 68 because they were measuring several hundred ohms. Replaced that 68, there's a 120, so I have replaced all those bias resistors on the IF tubes, but what I haven't done anything with, I don't think, is a video amp, which is, oh no, well, no I did, at least some of them. There's a 10K I didn't get to. I want to make sure the ringing coils have continuity. Let's see, that's the detector tube over there. There's a number of these coils throughout. I need to make sure they all have continuity. I thought that was a cap earlier on. It's actually a power resistor, and that measures fine, so no reason to muck with that. Well, I continued poking around with direct injection and actually have a somewhat watchable picture, albeit upside down. No major discoveries with the chassis, just a lot of tweaking of the controls and setting the input level right with the aid of the scope. I was overdriving it earlier. Very sensitive to the contrast and the horizontal hold especially, so I have to, again, be fully counterclockwise, and it just barely is able to lock. So something's up with the RC time constants on that. I replaced those mica caps with the ceramic and the resistors, but I may have to just go in there and tweak the capacitors and go on, and deviate from the schematic. In other words, either increase them or decrease them. Increase them, I guess, because it's running too fast, generally speaking. Brightness control. I do have 8 kilovolts, so we do have the full high voltage. And I have to max out the contrast. If I start backing off, it's pretty unwatchable too. Through a 150K resistor in series, and it is more stable for sure, but it's definitely something still very goofy with this set. It could also be a very tired CRT, because notice the picture kind of gets almost inverted looking as I play with the brightness and the contrast, and to look good I have to keep things really dim. So I think we should test the CRT before I go too crazy playing around with this stuff. A tester, and oh yeah, it is quite weak, deep into the red. I've had this running for a few hours while I've been troubleshooting it, so I don't think it's going to wake up any more than it already has just by letting it sit in the tester. So I'm going to pull out my Suncor CR70 to confirm that it also measures weak on that, and then I'll try using the auto restore on that device. If need be, I do have some used spares that test better than this. Just not looking forward to it because this CRT is mounted in a rather elaborate contraption here, and if I swap it out I have to, well, undo all this stuff and take it off. But, well, if I have to, I have to. It looks like it has a GE CRT. Don't know what Philco would have used originally. They didn't make their own CRT, so it's could very well be the original, or if it's a replacement, well, it was replaced a long time ago. The emissions are also really poor on my Suncor CR70, so we're going to try the auto restore, which is the most gentle type of restoration. Hold this button down, we wait for the needle to swing to the right 3 times, and then we'll retest it. So here we go. 1. And ideally the needle moves further each time. 2. Alright, now let's get towards the green. Deep into the green. Expect it's going to drop off a bit. I mean, this is not a cure-all by any means, it's just a way to buy some time. Quick way to see what's a more realistic test is to try the emission life test. And it's dropping. Let go. Coming back a bit. That's certainly an improvement. I don't know how long it will last, but the cutoff action has improved too. If I fire the setup now, we should see an improvement. But you can see, even as if you're just watching it, the needle's dropping slowly. It seems to stable. It's dropping a little bit, but well, as I kind of figured, it's brighter, but it's not any better. One thing I was hoping is that I could get those retrace lines to be less noticeable. Alright, well, a couple things I want to play around with next. One, I want to analyze in more detail the signals in and around the video amp and the sync separator and sync amplifier. In particular, I want to check out these pulses, which will feed into the horizontal and vertical oscillators. See, do we have a 2.2 volt pulse, clean pulse coming out of that? And also we'll check the video signals. Here's another sheet that shows those in more detail. This is what I was looking for. I was looking at this earlier, and this is how I figured out what level to use on the signal going with my injection here. So I'm going to double check that again and make sure that I've got about 8 volts peak to peak on pin 2 of the video output tube. And then let's look at those sync pulses. Pin 5 on that 7F8 was the vertical sync pulse, and that pretty much looked like that, similar amplitude. But what we really want to see is 3, which is on the flip side here, and that is the horizontal amplified sync pulse, and that's supposed to look like that. It's kind of, sorta. Not that far from 34 volts peak to peak, but the waveform doesn't look quite right. So it's swings down, then it comes up with a little bit of a jagged bit, and then kind of comes down. Sort of, but on mine, so it's supposed to go along flat and then shoot down and then go up. But on mine, it shoots up and then goes down, like there's ringing on it. See there, instead of just going straight down, it goes up first and then down and then up. And on that upper part, it should be, well, more like that. So think something's not quite right. Now, I did test that 7F8 and it was a little weak, so that's what we need to do. We can swap it out, but we can also check the components around it. I did change out one of the caps. That guy there is 1000 picofarad mica. The original tested a little off. Otherwise, there's one resistor original left. This is 100 picofarad mica that's going from the sync separator circuit, which is here. So sync separator, sync amp, 100 picofarad coupling cap there. I tested it. It tested okay. I left it in circuit. That 100K resistor tested okay. I left it in circuit. Not a whole lot to these. Anyways, let's try swapping out the tube. Well, why would swapping out the tube change the ringing aspect of it? I mean, the amplitude seems about right, so I don't think that's what the issue is, but it's certainly an easy thing to try. Put a new 7F8 in there, and can't say it really made any difference. But one thing I did notice is I was playing with horizontal hold control after swapping out that tube, and as you change the hold control, the waveform changes, and when it gets unstable, it really changes, which seems odd because this circuit is feeding another circuit downstream, and I wouldn't have thought that affecting the circuit downstream would affect the output of this circuit. So you hear that horrible screechiness. And of course we lose sync, but even when we have sync, it's unstable. And now the vertical is not working so hot.